Yo, what is going on, guys? Hope everyone's having a fantastic day. So today's video, we're going to go over the NFC East. Since we didn't have football, the Eagles did not have football this weekend. So obviously, besides Thursday, our game did pass. The Eagles are 2-0. This is going to be a video I normally don't make, and I'm going to be very realistic, very unbiased about certain things, and I want to go over the NFC East in general. The games I did watch, I watched every game. I try to watch as much as possible because sometimes two games were playing at the same time. So I try to watch as much as possible and go on Twitter and see some statistics and some other things. If your team is trash right now, they could be better later. If your team is good right now, they might not be better later on this season. It is week 2, so take everything that I say about each of these teams with a grain of salt, because as of right now, from what I've seen from the 2 weeks, it is only 2 weeks. There's so much football left, and like I said, you can't take things too seriously right now. But as just an overall thought, as of right now, as what these teams stand on these past couple weeks, will hopefully make more sense to you. And trust me, I'll probably have a bunch of different opinions in this video on the NFC East, which I think the NFC East is going to be, and I already said this before the season started, that the NFC East is going to be very, very competitive and probably the best division in the NFC, most likely going down the line of this season in 2023. So we're going to go over just a little summary of just what happened the other day and some of these games for the NFC East teams, and let's get into it.
Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
Yo, what is going on, guys? Hope everyone's having a great day. So the first game I want to go over is FC Washington versus the Broncos, and Washington won 2-0. I mean, I know Washington fans are probably really happy right now. New owner, going to be changing the name to the team soon. There's a lot of excitement going around that team right now, and I feel like that was the only thing that got him out of the woodwork, was just the change of the owner, with Dan Snyder backing out, someone else taking over the team and buying the team out, and sold out their first game, of the season, which they haven't done in a while. You know what I mean? Since everything kind of got messed up with the name change, and I feel like a lot of fans kind of were against going to games and didn't want to be there. But it is what it is with that. Watching this game go back and forth, and Washington's always been one of those sneaky teams that I feel like Washington has always had a really good roster the past few years. The roster is great. The defensive line is fantastic. Chase Young was back in the defensive line with Ron Payne. Some of these other guys, I mean, they were just fantastic. Montez Sweat. I mean, the pass rush is great, and I think their secondary isn't that bad. When it comes down to their offense, I think they have great weapons. I think Robinson running the football, I think he's a great running back. I feel like their offensive line's great. There's good protection. Sam Howell's been on and off. Obviously, the past couple weeks have been on and off, but when he's on, he can be pretty accurate. But I still don't think Sam Howell is the answer at quarterback for that team. Really, the only weakness to Washington is a quarterback, and I think that's – and I'm not saying that Howell can't get better later on, but I think as a consistent quarterback, making consistent throws from the pocket, I feel like they could do better at that position, and, they're 2-0 right now, so it looks good, but like I said, a lot more games to play down the road, okay, and that's the issue, man. They haven't really been aggressive to go get a quarterback in the draft and someone to be the future, and I think Ron Rivera is going to just take its course right now with when he's here, and I think when they get a new head coach, or they're not making the playoffs, or they're not doing enough, to reach the high top of the mountain, I think there will be a big refresh with this team sooner or later, because I think they're just wasting so much talent away offensively. I think with Terry McLaurin there, I mean, him in general, I think one of the best contested catchers we've seen in a long time. I think he's a fantastic receiver. I think there's a lot of other great weapons to that offense. I think they've almost been perfect. That's just the quarterback spot the past few years has just run its course and run its course and run its course. And every year you're just wasting what you could potentially have if you drafted a quarterback the last few years. You know what I mean? I think there's just a lot they really have to work on, and I think, this is a good start for them going forward, and I think they are a sneaky team. I think theoretically they are third in the division that's going to play really well. for right now, until things, if things get better or not. We know what the Denver Broncos looked like last year. Obviously, Sean Payton coming as the new head coach, and really the end of the game was pretty good. I think Sam Howell I think he had some good passes. I think there were some good runs. I think they mixed it up. I thought the defensive line was very, very physical yesterday. Russell Wilson threw through the Hail Mary from their own 45-yard line, got that, went for a 2-point conversion. And as much as the refs can screw some games up, I felt like that was a pretty bad call right there. But it went in Washington's favor, so that's that. And now Washington is 2-0. And like I said, I think that this is a realistic team down the road that could play well, but is it enough to make the playoffs? I don't know. It just depends on the rest of the NFC and where they rank, if they can get into a wild card game this year, or maybe they're a lot better than we thought they were. I always thought if, like, obviously when the Lamar Jackson, or trade rumors were coming out, or like, I feel like when there was a good quarterback, trade rumors coming out, I felt like Washington was always like they could sneak and really get somebody. And I feel like that's really all that's stopping them right now is a really good, consistent quarterback. For a long time. And I think that's been the week. It's been the one thing that's been holding them back. You know what I mean? So thought it was a great game. I enjoyed it. I like, obviously, games that are this close because it's a lot of offense. So that's a great thing. A lot of guys are scoring. So I thought it was good. So, Washington for a good start the past couple weeks and see what they look like down the road. But I think, quarterback is definitely going to affect them right now. Going down the road. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what goes on with that. Going to the Giants-Cardinals game, Jesus. I think Cardinal fans are starting to realize what Jonathan Gannon is all about. I know Nick Rallis is the play caller. He's the youngest defensive coordinator in the league right now, and he was the Eagles linebacker coach. We told Cardinals fans what was going to happen. The only difference between Gannon's Cardinals defense and Gannon's defense with the Eagles last year is that last year with the Philadelphia Eagles in 22, you couldn't have had a better roster than that. Okay, you had this is a night and day. The Cardinals defensive roster to the Eagles defensive roster last year was night and day. Okay, I don't know what this guy does. Like, is he a player's coach? Because I see him doing this. I see him doing that the whole entire game. Like, I don't get, like, if you're a player's coach and you want to, your team is struggling in the second half. It was 20-0. The Giants just, they just, in that second half, the first half was god awful. They couldn't get anything done at all. It was embarrassing. They couldn't get a pass rush. You got some good players on the defensive line with Thibodeau and some of the other guys. You got some good guys right there. Barkley couldn't really run that much. Daniel Jones didn't look fantastic, and the run game, pass game, just everything looked very sluggish. It's just, there were times in the first half where the Giants were starting to get some momentum, and then they lost it very quick, so they just couldn't complete drives. 20-0 or whatever it was by the half, and then the Cardinals just fell apart. That passive defense, Jesus, man. I'm telling you, like, Gannon had so much last year, and players were just bailing him out for the Eagles left and right. I think the Cardinals I think the Cardinal fans are saying that this is like, they're probably saying right now, oh, it's one game, we're fine. They have no idea what's coming to them the rest of these weeks because Gannon has it. Literally the second half, I see the defensive backs, the linebackers not playing downhill. At least the linebackers aren't playing downhill. They're literally reacting to everything. Okay. Somewhat kind of Eagles are not doing the same exact thing, but there are things that, pissed me off with the Eagles defense a little bit going into this year, what I've seen so far the past couple of weeks. But this is what happens. And the Giants, I got the last, minute field goal. And that was it. You don't have Kyler Murray. He's out with an ACL, still out with the ACL right now. Dobbs is just horrible. I think he played good against the Giants secondary because the Giants secondary isn't fantastically great. I think they can get pressure on quarterbacks. I think they have a couple good linebackers that can play downhill really well. And, this was a tale of two halves for the Giants. The Giants don't have a legitimate number one guy. Hyatt got in the game and had a couple really good receptions, but, as soon as that he had that really good first reception that he had, they took him out of the game, put him on the sideline. I don't know why Hyatt's not getting more reps with that offense because I'm sorry, but you're not going to do much with just Waller to that offense. And your offensive line is banged up and your offensive line isn't good. I mean, it's not enough. And Barkley can't do it all on his own. Obviously, Daniel Jones has to, be a mobile quarterback. I think Daniel Jones has been the most mobile and athletic I've seen him the past few years since he's been drafted. In the beginning, he looked like some average runner that just could, every time he takes, 20 steps, it looks like he took 2 steps. That's how slow he looked. But he looks more mobile. He's definitely gotten a lot more mobile, and I'm seeing guys trying to catch up with him because he's that fast. It may not seem like it, but it looked pretty good. I think the Cardinals messed up too because they were up 3 scores, and by the second half, and then they had a late hit. I think the Giants were just going to kick a field goal. I think they were on the Cardinals side, and I think there was a late hit on the ground. I think Daniel Jones, ran it. And I think he slid on the right sideline, or I think he threw to a receiver. I forgot who it was. I forgot if Daniel Jones ran the ball. I think it was a third down stop, and some Cardinal player just walked right in and just got a late hit, very, very, very late. So that kind of ruined that momentum. Changed right after that, and the Cardinals just fell apart on their home opener. I mean, literally, that's what happened. And are the Giants better? Are they going to be better down the road? I don't think they are. I think they're going to be in last place in the NFC East. I feel like they are going to. They just don't have enough for me. Like, they can win this game. It may look good. Oh, we can really beat anybody. No, you can't beat anybody with that roster. I don't think it's enough. You just played one of the most passive defenses in the league. We know, us Eagles fans know Jonathan Gannon the way he is, and it was pitiful. I actually laughed. Like, I didn't even care if the Giants win or lose. I was hoping they would lose, obviously, but I was like, I don't blame them for winning this game because I'm seeing ex-Eagles, I'm seeing Kevon Wallace and Kaiser White, and somebody, Zach Pascal, like all these Eagles leftovers that Jonathan Gannon took on that team to sign, and it's just insane, man. It's insane how the corners are like 10 yards off the ball. It's insane how the linebackers don't play downhill. And like they just reacted in the second half. They were literally just reacting. They weren't playing downhill. They weren't being physical. They weren't getting pressure. Like everything just disappeared in that defense. And that offense could not get anything going. I thought James Conner played really good, man. James Conner is good. And he's physical. And he plays tough. And offense just fell apart. Dobbs is horrible. I mean, it's just Hollywood Brown barely did, it just disappeared. Everybody disappeared. Like, I felt like the play calling changed for the Cardinals in the second half, and just the defense just looked like they were just reacting to what the Giants were doing, and the Giants just had full momentum in that second half, man. Just full momentum. So that's props to the Giants for that. They really needed this win badly. If they were to get if they were to be 0-2, it would have looked horrible. I think you're paying Daniel Jones $40 million a year. You might want to go trade for Mike Evans or do something, or keep Hyatt on the field. I don't think Hyatt's going to do much until like another year or two, something like that, maybe another year. But I would give him as much playing time right now as possible. I think he has better athletic ability than any of the wide receivers that are on that roster. Darius Slayton and Shepard and some of these other guys, and Hodgkinson, whatever his name is. I feel like he's the most athletic guy that's there. And I think there are times where they took him out, like that first reception took him right out of the game. And then like seriously, he makes a big play and you take him out. I don't get that. I really don't. This doesn't the tale of two halves isn't always a great thing. And like I said, it's early, so the Giants could be better later, but I just don't think they're going to match up against the harder teams because they don't have a legitimate number one receiver. They just don't. It's just not going to work with these. It might take a team effort and a lot, but you can't make mistakes because your offense can only do so much from what it's disposed of with the type of talent that's around Daniel Jones. When you pay your quarterback, you got to be aggressive and go get guys for your quarterback. How are you going to get the full extent out of your quarterback? And I think Daniel Jones had a really good game. I think he commanded the field really well, and took charge. So as the Giants, I still think they'll be in last place this year. I could be wrong, but I think they still will be behind Washington in fourth place. But, I just don't think against better competition, roster-wise. They got away with the win today because Gannon is horrible. Nick Rallis is horrible at coaching a defense. That's this is what happens, man. How many games did the Eagles play? And I mean, they letting their foot off the gas in the second half. They did that. I don't know how many times last year. That's how frustrating it was. So it's good. It's a really good win for the Giants, but I don't think this is going to last. Doesn't mean they're, maybe they will be good later. I just can't see it with the personnel that they have on the offense. It's just not enough to match well against other superior teams down the road. So I think that's going to be a big problem. Now, lastly, Cowboys-Jets. Okay, obviously, Cowboys got a little bit of a break this game with Aaron Rodgers not playing. Zach Wilson looked horrible, guys. I mean, we have to say this, okay? The thing that'll give the Cowboys props to this game is that I think out of the whole NFC East, I think the Cowboys offense has looked the most consistent in 2 games. Okay, I know Dak Prescott only had 140-something yards the first game, and the Giants were horrible. I get it. Okay, he had 255 yards and 2 touchdowns. Didn't throw a pick at all against the Jets. Okay, Jets defense, I'd say, is pretty good. I think there was a lot of missed calls on the Cowboys offensive line-wise. I think there was a lot of holding in this game. Every game has been like that. The Giants game, they missed a lot of calls. There was a lot of calls missed. I think the Cowboys should have been at least held accountable for a few more penalties that never showed up. I think, using Jason Tolbert, as Brandon Cooks isn't playing. Jason Tolbert's playing really well as a receiver. I think he's great. I think Mike McCarthy is going to run the ball a lot, which he did. Obviously Deuce Vaughn and some of these other guys. You know what I mean? I think they're mixing it in pretty well to not put too much pressure on Dak Prescott. Okay, now don't mistaken my kindness for weakness, because it's the second week of the season. I don't care how many points you beat a team by. I'm not comparing how many points this team puts up to this team played the same team, which makes them better because they scored more points, or less better because they scored less points against the same team in the year. This is a week-by-week league, okay? And like I said, the Jets just offensively, what could they do? Breece Hall didn't carry the ball enough. I think they should have ran with him a lot more, okay? And Zach Wilson is just not good. Simple as that. He had horrible throws on Monday night after Aaron Rodgers got hurt. He had horrible throws in this game. He's just bad. There's a ton of weapons in that offense. Ton. And can't do anything. Garrett Wilson, I mean, just there's a lot of weapons there, and just can't do much of anything about it. I don't know. I mean, I tried rooting for Zach Wilson. I'm like, man, this guy is just horrible. The Cowboys are just going to eat him up the rest of the game, and that's the case. But I think when it comes to, like I said, it came to the Cowboys, no lie, I think they have been the most consistent offense. I think when it comes to being consistent in an offensive play call, the last 2 weeks have looked good. Okay. Like I said, this could change down the road. Injuries do happen. Teams, start to, the Cowboys are peaking really high in September, and sometimes that's a good thing, but most of the time it's a really bad thing. Okay, you don't want to peak too early. You don't want to peak too early. You could play very well. Cowboys play well in September. The Cowboys play good in October. In November you start to see that decline, and then December, that's when they choke. And then obviously when it comes to January, they're sitting on the couch. That's the most of what happens here. Okay. I know the Cowboys fans are going to be in the comment section. They're going to tell me otherwise, but I can't I can't go off of 2 games with any of these teams, not just the Cowboys, but the Giants. I can't say that they're going to be good. They're going to be bad, what it's going to look like down the road. It's a long season. This isn't week 10. Okay. This is week 2. We're not even done with week 2 yet. We still got Monday Night Football tonight. Okay, so it's there's a lot going on, but I give the Cowboys props in a certain sense where it definitely looks better than Kellen Moore being the offensive coordinator. There's no doubt. Dak had a good game, okay? I think the running backs were used great. I think the CeeDee Lamb had over 100 yards. He was a beast. I mean, he couldn't get covered. Sauce Gardner had to delete his Twitter account because he just, I guess, was embarrassed. He kind of pulled a Kadarius Toney a little bit. So I get that. But that's the props I'll give to the Cowboys these past couple weeks. Okay. For the Giants, a win is a win. The Cowboys, a win is a win. For the Eagles, a win is a win. Washington, a win is a win. Doesn't matter how you get it done. You get it done. Okay. Does it matter? Like, hey, like have the Giants played a great quarterback in the past couple weeks? No, not really. You know what I mean? Have the Cowboys played a great quarterback in the past couple weeks? Have they played fantastic teams? No, not really. Have the Eagles played a couple okay teams? Sure. Great quarterbacks? You know what I mean? Not really. We could say that about probably everybody the past couple weeks. Okay, hasn't been fantastic. Okay, but at the end of the day, like it is week 2 and we still have a long road ahead. Like that's why I'll be unbiased, but I have to be fair too, because I can't. The Eagles were very successful last year. Okay. And that's where I'll get into the Philadelphia Eagles right now. The Eagles were very successful last year. Okay. But I think the big problem with the Eagles right now is I think they took too much time off. Too many of the old vets haven't played since last year's Super Bowl. There's just not enough time was put in playbook wise for Jalen Hurts. Hurts is missing guys left and right. I mean, he's making plays, but he's missing wide open guys. I mean, there's a lot more footage that I'm finding there. Hurts is missing Watkins behind the Vikings linebackers last week on a slant route or whatever he was running, and he was wide open, not passing to him. A.J. Brown was open when he threw the pick to Devontae Smith. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of different things. When Devontae Smith was underthrown, AJ Brown was wide. You know what I mean? There's a whole and like I said, I don't think Jalen Hurts is regressing or anything like that. It's just the Eagles barely had the Eagles. They didn't have their starters in enough this offseason. Simple as that. They didn't have much work. The joint practices are joint practices. Game time is game time at the end of the day. Just think of it. When you have a joint practice, what can't you do in a joint practice? You can't hit the quarterback. You can't tackle at 100% aggressiveness. You can't. You got to play hard. See, that's why joint practices are weird for me, and I think they do have value. I agree they do have some value, but it's not like a game-like situation. And I think that's what makes it very different for the Philadelphia Eagles, going into this season. So hoping that things do change. I think they're starting to build and build. Things are getting better and better the past couple weeks. Things have gotten better offensively, and they got better defensively. We were out starting safety, starting corner, we were out three guys on 3 different positions. Okay, so Avonte Maggs is hurt now. So, we're kind of waiting for Howie Roseman to make a move going into week 3 of the season. So it's just kind of crazy right now. I just think there was a lot of missed time. I think the offseason was not enough work for the Eagles, not enough work for Hurts, not enough work for this whole offense to gel, not enough work for Sean Desai and this defense to gel too much. And the defense, like I said, I feel like, other than we've been complaining about safety, we've been complaining about linebacker a little bit. Nakobe Dean's going to be out for a month. Defensive line has been one of the high rises of this defense of this team. I think the defensive line is fantastic. I think you're going to see more Reddick later on. Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter have been absolute monsters. So there's I think our run game is probably gonna be one of the best we've had in a while. I mean, I think DeAndre Swift was a steal. I think they have to re-sign him. I really do. I don't think you let this man walk in free agency after this year. I think when it comes to a running back, which the Eagles don't put much value into, Swift is just a whole different on another level. You know what I mean? So you're getting Kenneth Gainwell back next week. You're getting some guys back. You're getting some reinforcements back into your defense and one player into your offense. So, and hopefully Quez Watkins with the right hamstring. So hopefully he'll be back too. So there's still things, and you went into the season with 2 coordinators. I thought Sean Desai would be more of a problem than Brian Johnson, but unfortunately it's been really the other way around. I think I've had more issues with Brian Johnson and this offense. And yes, the play calling has been horrendous. There's no doubt. Okay, we gotta be real with ourselves here. It hasn't been great, but it is getting better the past couple weeks. The penalties need to stop, and like I said, it's a win is a win for every NFC East team, regardless of the week. However you get it done, you get it done. Teams that find a way to win, hitting adversity in games is somewhat of a great thing, and Hurts has checked the box with everything. He's been in front. He's won game. He's taken big leads in games and won games. He's been behind in games. He's played in bad weather and won games. He's almost done everything. You know what I mean? Except the one thing that we needed to get done at the end of last year was win the Super Bowl, which we haven't done. with Jalen Hurts and this coaching staff. So, as a whole of the NFC East, I feel like it's very competitive. It's going to be very exciting. Our first NFC East matchup is in a couple weeks against Washington, so I'm very excited about that. And that's really it. As unbiased as possible, I think the Giants are in fourth. I think Washington will be in third because I don't think Sam Howell's going to last too long. I feel like there's going to be mistakes on the way. He'll have good games. He'll have really bad games, and then when better talent arises, we'll see. I think the Giants are a team that's going to have a nice, I think they kind of found their way against the Cardinals, but the Cardinals we know this coach like the back of our hand. We know what Gannon does in the second half, and man, did he let that team down. And Giants had all the ammo they had in that second half to get that win. And I don't think this means that they're going to be good the whole year. I think it just means that, they took advantage of a situation, and they won the game because of it. And I think that's really the main reason. They have a short week. They got to play San Francisco this week on Thursday night. They got a long, they might not even have Barkley since he might have a sprained ankle now. So, Breed is a good running back. He's been a starter in the league. So I don't think, I think Barkley just has a really good skill set, to really keep the play alive when he's running. Takes him a long time to get to the ground. I think that's been, and getting, yards after the run, just still keeping balance, even if he's getting hit or whatever. I think Barkley's been pretty good with what he has been given behind that offensive line since he really has been drafted. He's always had a problem running behind this line or keeping this, the trenches up the order every single year has been a problem with the Giants. So definitely third. And then obviously with the Dallas Cowboys, yes, of course I'm going to pick them in second place because I love my Philadelphia Eagles. That's the only thing I'm going to say because it is week 2 and it's way too early. Okay, I obviously have to rank it, so I'm just going to rank it now. And Dallas has been the most consistent play, but by record and by winning in general, that's how I rank it right now. And there's nothing to say anything bad about the Cowboys. They have consistently on offense. They have played very good. But I think the most consistent offensive play has been there. And defensively, they've, bringing pressure is very good, very good. Dan Quinn doing a good job the past couple of years, obviously. You're not making Dak Prescott throw over 40 times a game, which Kellen Moore did that, and that's what made the Cowboys lose a lot of games. Didn't run the ball enough. Defense kept them in a lot of games. Defense kept them against the 49ers in the playoffs. You made Dak throw the ball. I know, obviously, you have to blame on some of the receivers for deflecting the balls for interceptions and stuff like that. So I get that. It all comes to effect as well. Just like the one in the Giants game when he threw when Daniel Jones threw to Saquon Barkley, and it was a perfect pass to him. He was standing still with both his hands open, and it deflects off his hands, and, Cardinals get the pick in the first half. So, the Philadelphia Eagles are dealing with 2 new coordinators right now. And I didn't think we are going to have too much of an issue offensively this year, but, I think this is a work in progress game by game, and I'm giving this another 2 to 3 weeks. If this offense doesn't play up to par in the next few weeks, then there might be a problem down the line, but I'm not going to panic yet. 3 teams in the NFC East are 2-0 right now, and it's going to get real interesting going forward. We're about to face a 2-0 team in a couple weeks, or, next month, not the next Monday night against Tampa Bay Bucks, which are 2-0 as well. So other than that, I didn't want to make this too long, but definitely subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't. Definitely like the stream if you guys haven't either. Definitely a lot to digest here. But give me your thoughts. I know you're probably not going to like some of my thoughts. You're not a real Eagles fan. I gotta be real with what it's looked like the past couple weeks. Don't take my kindness for weakness because things do change. And I think things will change with specific teams, okay? So trust me, I have things in the back of my head that are still there that I know what's going to happen with certain teams this year. Trust me on this, and I hope the Eagles aren't one of those teams that's really going to upset me going forward. So, other than that, guys, that's pretty much it. I will see you guys on the next one. Remember, shakes what up, follow side. Peace out, guys. Peace.